You should have stopped by the old pitch and putt there on Torbay Road when the club. Might see a picture of Hilly in there in the old hole.
Oh yes, bye. You're a golfer now, are you? Oh, Jesus.
He's back again.
Oh, he's back.
Well, you guys are talking about fields getting named after you and presidents coming to meet you and call you. And
that's all right, Hilly. They got a beer cooler down in Marie's Mini Mart named after you.
Get out of here! I told you, Mr. Drama. I used to be a ladies' man, but I'm a man now. For courting 6 girls all at once they
say
use me.
bye-bye baseball!
My mother said it was naughty, I should kiss her goodbye. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very fine.
And the Lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is brought to you by CoolBet. If you got a few extra bucks rattling around in your arse pocket, CoolBet Sportsbook will double your first deposit up to $200 when you use the bonus code DUSTUP. Head over to coolbet.com and get in on the fastest growing entertainment sector in the world. That bonus code again is DUSTUP, one word, all capital letters, DUSTUP. Well, here we are again, folks. Episode number 4, Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. And Hilly, 3 great episodes in the books, and we got another great one coming up today with Ian Fehrman coming on the podcast with us.
Yeah, well, episode number 4, so we figured it was a good opportunity to bring in a cleanup guy, a big bopper at the plate, and why not Opie Fehrman?
Well, no one better. What do we call him? The red-headed ninja. Just a guy, and I know what you always say about him. Your favorite guy to see hit and your favorite guy to see get out.
He's just so intense, and when he gets out, it's he just hates defeat, and which is a good trait to have in sports. But when he gets out, he kind of has a little dust up of his own in his own mind. I think it's just hilarious to watch.
Yeah. Well, one of the best teammates you could ever have, the best to ever played a game, played the shortstop position, incredible Team Canada career. And he has a great story in his own right. You know, it started from local ball, staying loyal. His family grew up in the game, and he was there from the grassroots of a team with Jarvis that didn't really have a presence to turning them into an international powerhouse. And it's really cool to hear that story and recount some of his countless memories from one of the best to ever played a game.
Yeah, and his accolades speak for themselves, and he has a long list of championships, but I got to play with him for Jarvis one year, actually, at the Canadians, which we'll get into later. But when I got to see him play for Team Canada, just a true leader's leader and a true team guy and just an all-around beauty.
Yeah, and we'll get to see why I consider him my favorite roommate ever. So let's get going. Ian Fehrman on the podcast. Opie. Ian Fehrman, what's happening, buddy?
Not much. Good to see you guys again. Yeah, been a long time.
Freaking right, man. I got to see you there. I don't know, what was it, a month ago, out at Shalesey's place, but for being less than an hour away, it sucks not getting to see each other as much. But weather's turning around now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so as soon as the government gives us the okay to get out and about again, then yeah.
Yeah.
Are you allowed out golfing?
Yeah, we can go golfing. Yeah, we could go golfing. Yeah, we can meet in the Walmart parking lot. There's a few spots we can meet up. We'll work on something.
Same old Opie.
Yeah. I suppose the boys got you flat out. Well, probably not as much now, though. The hockey and all that going on.
Yeah, no, hockey's done. Hockey's shut down now, so they're on. School's shut down now, right? So it'll be busy now. They'll be home steady. So
yeah,
it wasn't too bad for a while there, but yeah, it's gonna be busy now for sure between work and the school, the homeschooling and stuff. So
yeah. Do you coach them in hockey?
I'm the trainer.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I took the easy way out because if you want to coach, you got to go do like weekend clinics and stuff. So you know me, I always try and find the easiest way out. So I just took the 6-hour online course. I took the 6-hour online course or whatever it is, and yeah, I'm the trainer and I help out at practices and stuff. But
Attaboy.
yeah.
Are they ball players as well, though?
No, they're not. They're soccer players.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. We were playing. Actually, we went out to the Diamonds today in Townsend a little bit and played a little ball. And I can once again tell you they're not ball players.
Hilly, tell us about when when you got Weston going and trying to get him going in ball. You were trying to figure out
in soccer. You mean?
Yeah. You're trying to figure out soccer and ball. But you told me a story one time, and what'd you get going on with Weston?
Last year. No, it wasn't last summer. Summer before, I put him in that Timbits.
Yeah.
Timbits soccer, like or tot soccer, whatever it's called. And I don't know, to get to this, it's only a half an hour long, but it was fucking painful. But to get him to go to this, the field, the pitch or whatever, he had to walk through a playground. So every week it was just a racket to get him from the playground onto the pitch. Fun to get him on, and he'd be like, all right with the others training, like practicing with him and stuff. But they put all the soccer balls down, and you think he'd kick a fucking soccer ball? Not a chance. Not a chance. Wouldn't even look at it. Just want to go back to the park, back to the swings. He's fucking 2.5 years old. And anyway, so last year, Marcia took him down to the ballparks, like with everything going on. And it was hard. He didn't want to take him out too much. And got him down to the ballpark, get to watch dad play and stuff for the first time and this and that, right? So I get him on the field. Like, you get him on the field, throw a ball around and all this after run the bases, whatever. So I get him on the field for the first time. I hand him over a softball, like, throw it to dad or whatever. What does he do? Throw it on the ground, start kicking it around.
You'll get him sorted here one of these days, Hilly Bye.
Yeah, I figure out. He's going in ball with Boley this summer. So with the Avalon Wave. So we'll see how that goes.
Boley will straighten him out.
Yeah. Boley straighten out. Yeah, he won't put up with no nonsense.
Speaking of Boley, Opie, Ryan Boland is your biggest fan.
Yeah.
He goes, it's one of I think you're his all-time favorite player to either play with, against, or rooming with, all that stuff. He's a huge fan of yours. So I know he'll be tuning into this.
Yeah, he was one of the main reasons when you came to me that time about the Hallman team coming back there, and you started to listen off. You said, well, we got Boland and we got Cleary and I'm playing. I said, all right, I'm in. Yeah. Good enough.
I thought it was going to be harder than it was.
Yeah, no, it was. I couldn't believe that Christy agreed to it. That was, I said, well, I'm in, but Christy's going to shoot that down pretty quick. So when I went to her and she actually said yes, I was a shock.
That was one of the questions I had written down for you. Like, how did they get you out of retirement? Because when you walked away, I said, well, he's done. We won't see him, playing no more.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was pretty straight process.
It was. That was done over, I think, by the third Bud Light, he was signed. Was it at either Shalesy's diaper party? I think it was. We were at Shalesy's diaper party because we were writing on diapers some kind of funny sayings and all this. I said, Opie, come over. I want to talk to you for a minute.
It was at Mark Johnson's house out in Brantford there.
Yeah.
It was me, you, Shalesy. I think Dale Levy was there, MJ.
Grant and we started talking was there, yeah.
Yeah, we started talking ball, and next thing you know, Hallman's putting together a pretty good team this year. So, and I know I love playing with Jim and the Hallman twins, and they were hosting it in Kitchener, and all you guys are playing in that team. It was a no-brainer for me. I just had to get the okay from the wife. That was all.
Yeah, it was a perfect storm. If it was going to happen, all the things that needed to align that summer.
Yeah,
it was only an hour away from your place. If you had to go back, get home for whatever reason, it wasn't like the previous commitments, especially having to go down to ASA for a full week down the States and then go back down for a week and a bit. So in my mind, it was a 50-50 chance. Okay? He's either going to just tell me to fuck off here, or with all those things lining up, it was as strong of a sales pitch as we're going to have, and it was awesome to get you come back. But then when you did, I couldn't believe. I thought there was going to be a little bit of rust, right? And that's the thing I always say to you is, like, fuck, Opie, you're retired now. Get fat. Stop going to the gym, coming back and watching a game and making us all look like shit. But when you came back, man, you were on fire. They just all around. You never missed a beat. And not only us on the team noticing it, everyone on the international circuit just said, geez, Opie is back.
Yeah. Well, there was definitely some rust because I don't think in my other 10 years that I played, I probably hit 1 or 2 balls the other way. And I remember that first tournament in Tavistock, and I was hitting everything down the left field line. And I'm thinking, boy, I'm at least a half second behind. So, but I got lucky. They were all falling in, so I looked good. But yeah, there was definitely some rust for sure. Yeah. And I think the one game in the first weekend in Tavistock, we played Hilly United on the Sunday, I think, when I think they beat us. And I must have made 5 errors that game. That was just one of those ones where it's like, dear God, please don't hit me another ball.
Yeah.
Just everything. I was just booting everything. It was just one of those ones.
You were, yeah.
Yeah.
Hilly, it was probably the only time you got on base all weekend, that tournament.
Well, no, you certainly ended that season off pretty hot. I tell you how hot you were. It was that Saturday at the ISCs. We played the Saturday morning, remember? Adam come to me because he knew my track record facing you. And he said, Hilly, next time Ian comes up to the bat, we're just going to put you in the pitch. And then get him out, and then I'll come back in and go on to the next guy.
I'm sure everybody's heard the Frankenmuth story a million times. I know I have.
Yeah, they're going to hear. There's going to be 1,000,001 after tonight.
We'll hear it again tonight. Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, there's no time like the present, boys, or the present.
Yeah.
Hilly, fill us in.
Just,
tell me about it.
Yeah, a bit of friendly fire there. It was. I wouldn't even be able to. But I was playing with Frank Blue driving school. I think it was the year before you came down, Steve. And Jarvis came down for a doubleheader, or maybe, I don't know what it was, 3 or 4 games. And we ended up playing the very last game in the lower field. Frank was against Jarvis. And there was 2 outs and I was coming in. It was a real tight game. Like at this point, nobody really gave a shit. They were just concerned about getting up to the parking lot to have a few beers. I see Ian coming down and I fucking groove one. And you know how fucking funny it is when Ian gets out. Yeah, I grew up, and he ripped at her, and he popped it up to shortstop. And I just kind of chirping him walking down first base. And I got him out, and I just let him know who fucking owns him every now and then. Yeah. Put him back in his place. Keep him humble.
Oh yeah, probably bat flying and probably a few tears coming down my
Jesus.
Opie, we were talking about it earlier. All time, you're probably my favorite player to watch hit. But from a bunch of different perspectives, right? One, chances are you can see maybe the furthest hit ball you've ever seen. I think to this day you still have the record. Remember in 2006 we played in the Woodstock tournament in Ontario, and we were playing the championship game against, I think it was the Patsies at that time.
The Patsies, yeah.
And they had Musey throwing, and I struck out 3 times, which for me is nothing new against Musey. But you hit a ball off him that must have went, there's this bank behind the right field fence, and then that must go up about 100 feet. And then there's this little pond with a fountain in the middle of it, and you hit it over the fountain. To this day, it's still the longest home run. And I was pissed off. Well, I was in awe of how far it went. I was like, well, one, how do you even make contact? Because Musey's on fire right there. But that was an unreal home run.
Yeah.
But just when watching you hit, it's just a pro. But then your approach. But watching you get out is also one of the funnest things. Hey, Hilly.
That's what I fucking tune into when Opie's up. It's like, get him.
I remember the ASAs at the ASAs in where was it again? The Worlds were there the one year. It's in
South Bend.
Yeah, South Bend. And I remember we were playing the one game, and you and Hilly, and I forget who was all standing behind home plate. And I forget who we were playing, but oh man. I got out one time, and that's all I could hear was you 3 just dying back behind home plate, just howling. Yeah. And I don't blame you because I had some good chuckles because you were Lolly was always fun to watch too. The Lolly, I remember that beating you put on the washroom in Jarvis the one time after you got out. Yeah. That was the golden sombrero against Who was that got you? Scott Smith or somebody? I forget. I think we were playing like CPI or somebody.
I don't know. I went to a hypnotist after to get a erase from my brain. it was a rough day at the plate for Old Ollie. Let's put it like that.
And you slowly just walked over with a bat over to the washroom in Jarvis and just put a beating on the paper towel outlet there.
Yeah, that was back in my immature days, Opie. I wouldn't do it now.
Yeah, well, good stories, all good times, good memories.
But jokes aside here now, obviously it's you're one of the best hitters that ever played this game. I'm wondering if you could tell, and I noticed this just from playing with you, and of course watching you. We love to watch you hit. What is tell the listeners, what is your approach at the plate with two strikes? Because I know your stance and your approach changes significantly when you get two strikes. So just take us through.
Yeah, when I get two strikes on me, I'll just I'll open my stance up a lot, which cuts down on the leg lift and just cuts down on any movement really. And then I'll choke up probably about an inch or two on my bat, just because I always say I've made enough errors in my day to know that if you just put the ball in play, you got a chance at least, right? So I cut down on my swing. I cut down on any movement in the box at all, and I just try and put the ball in play. It doesn't always work, but that's my approach usually with two strikes. And to be honest with you, I probably hit half of my home runs I've ever hit with that approach. If you put, like any of us and any player in the ISC, with the pitchers nowadays, they throw the ball hard enough, and with the bats, it doesn't take much to put the ball 250 feet, right? So, like I said, that was my approach with two strikes anyways, just kind of cut things down. So I wouldn't hit any shots into the pond in Woodstock with two strikes on, but it would, it at least put the ball in play most of the time.
Absolutely. I tell the boys all the time, the easiest out to defend is a strikeout, right? Put the ball in play. Teams are going to make physical errors. It's part of the game, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, it paid off 100% for you. You're one of those guys in the lineup that there's some guys that hit home runs and strike out a lot. Some guys that are on fire and everything falls in. They're kind of streaky, but with you, you're a guy in the lineup that's just consistent. And I think from that approach, just the number of strikeouts just significantly go down. And it's impressive, and it's an important message, I think, that for any of the young ball players coming up, that you hear the old adage that the first two swings are for you, the third one's for the team, and just put the ball in play. And you put that in practice. It's great in theory, but when you see it in practice like that, it really is that. You're someone that can rely on to put the ball in play, and like you said, those errors are going to come up, and sometimes more often than not, you find your way getting on base, which is it's great to hear you talk through that. A couple of things that wanted to bring up to you about when you grew up playing. You're one of the guys that it's just a hometown success story, going from playing locally, having your hometown buddies that you grew up playing all the way minor ball up through senior. And then when that Jarvis team started to become a mainstay in the ISC, and you were right at the start of that, but can you walk us through how Jarvis came to be the Jarvis that everyone knows, the 3-time defending champs? How did that go from being a local team to being an international powerhouse?
Yeah, we had we were putting together, after we had done our junior career, we kind of put together a senior team, and we had a pretty decent senior team. Like, we competed. We weren't going to win an ISC for sure, but we had enough parts with Andrew Phibbs pitching, and and myself and Greg Cornier, and a bunch of guys that were some real good ball players. But myself and Jeff Ellsworth were playing the 1 year with Jarvis, and we had Paul Court, and we put together a pretty decent team. And Broken Bow had approached me and Jeff about possibly going to play there the next year.
Okay.
With Doc, and we were interested, and then it kind of, whatever happened with Doc and his sponsorship, I'm not sure what happened there, but Doc kind of last minute kind of bowed out, and Jarvis was kind of going through the same thing with their sponsorship. They were kind of looking for some different areas to kind of get some revenue for sponsorship and stuff. And it just so happened that I think it was actually Elsie who kind of put the bug in Doc's ear, like, hey, you know, Jarvis has got this going on. And I know you had, you know, I think at that point, you know, Adam Falkart and Brad Rona and, you know, some other guys, some big name guys that had already kind of committed to that team. And so they kind of said, instead of, you know, folding, you know, possibly 2 teams, why don't we just, you know, join up and make a go of it that way? And they kind of, you know, put their heads together that way and got talking, the Jarvis group and Doc and his group. And that's how the whole Jarvis Travellers thing kind of came about.
Yeah. Cause you guys went from when you originally started, was it Jarvis Merchants or was it cause I know you went from Merchants and then Gamblers and then.
Yeah. We were the Merchants and then we went to the Gamblers. And then obviously the Travellers after that. So
the Travellers and the last year when you guys won that third ISC, was that it for the Travellers after that? I'm trying to piece it together there now.
No, we had another year after that. So I think our third one was 2013. And then we came back
Quad Cities.
In Quad Cities, and we came back. We came back the next year, I think, in
Kitchener.
In Kitchener. No, Quad Cities was the one that we didn't.
We won with Hilly United in 2013. You beat us in Midland in 2012 in the final.
That's right.
Hilly, that's when you hit that ball. Remember they bobbled it in the outfield and caught it again?
Yeah, right. That was extra innings too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was just an unreal championship game.
Yeah,
that was.
It was just the talent that was on the ball field on both sides. And the mix of talent from guys that were on their way up, guys that you would consider establishing themselves kind of in their prime, and then some of the legends of the game with their last hurrah. And the storylines that came out of that whole tournament, but in particular, just how great of a championship game that was and how many of the key moments. And then you see some of the best players in the world. You realize why they are some of the best players in the world. You see Nick Shales, when he comes out, he hits a home run like he does in big games. Then you see a guy like Donnie Hale and yourself. And it was just a real special game to be a part of. But for you guys, it capped off that very, very rare three-peat. And it must have been pretty special for that entire group to go from predominantly local organization to doing something in the game that only a handful of teams have ever done.
Yeah.
And to hear you talk about that almost not happening and how meaningful that conversation and that decision to bring those two teams together, the stamp that it ended up having on the ISC, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was really cool. Yeah, and like I said, it was that first ISC was absolutely unreal because, like I said, we almost didn't have a team, and then it was, you know, the majority of the Jarvis guys that were on that team stayed. You had your Pat Grahams and Alan Andrew Phibbs, Chad Stats, Greg Cornier. You know, the list goes on and on. All the guys that we grew up with, and you know, when we put the team together in senior, it was, you know, we knew we'd be competitive, but we never. You know, you knew you never have a chance of winning ISC. You weren't going to beat your Broken Bows. You weren't going to beat your, you know, your Gremlins or, you know, counties at that time, right? Like, just it wasn't going to happen. So when that happened in 2010, and we came back through, we had to come back through the loser bracket, I think, that time, and just ripped off a bunch of wins and ended up beating Kitchener in the finals. They were going for their three-peat at that time, right? Yeah, you guys were going for your three-peat at the time. Like, they were, you know, just an unreal team, and they've been sitting all day and we've been playing all day, and to come back through and win, and to win it with those bunch of guys, that was one that was probably the most special one for sure. The one that means the most, the one that you know, we didn't think that we ever had a chance to do, and we came back and won, and it was that was pretty special, that one in 2010 for sure.
Yeah, we had Robbie O'Brien on, and he talked about how special that was. Just goes back to all those storylines, and when you get a special team like that together, you know, that's when those memories come from that. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then on top of all that, Andrew Phibbs is the one that pitched the last, I think, 3 or 4 innings of that game to win, because
that's awesome.
Adam Falk.
He struck out Patty Shannon.
He did.
Yeah.
He got Joe. He had loaded bases, I think, in the 4th or 5th inning. He struck out Patty Shannon. You got Jody Ike to pop up to short. Like, just came through big time. Couldn't believe it. And it just, it was just unreal. I watch that game on YouTube every once in a while, and I go back and just watch it. And it's just, I have a smile on my face the whole time. It's awesome.
And damn close to winning Canadians as well one year, Jarvis.
yes, very close.
You remember that?
Yeah,
I was on that fucking team.
Yeah, I remember that. We got second in, I think, 2008. We went out to Saskatoon, and we had a really, really good team that year. And we ran into the Diamondbacks team, and they beat us, I think, 2-0 in the finals. We came close that year. And then 2009 in St. Thomas after when Hilly was part of that, when we brought Hilly in and took a good run at it. And, extra innings against Kitchener and
lost the finals,
yeah. So we had some good years in Kitchener, or good years in with Jarvis. I mean, not in Kitchener.
Yeah, we got you to leave Jarvis though, leave Ontario and come play with us in Newfoundland there for a few years. That was really cool to get you come down there and join the team. And it goes to show that you don't need to be from the same province or same town, whatever you have. Just you fit in like a dirty shirt with all the boys. They all considered you. Yeah, an old red-headed newfie. as soon as you got to the hotel, but that was pretty special to win a couple of championships with you. When you look back on those tournaments and winning those championships, what was that experience like for you?
No, that was awesome, and that's it was. I had a conversation with my father-in-law Clark when I kind of left Jarvis to go play with Kitchener in 2008, and that's what I told him. I said, I think I have to do this. To help my career. But I said, as long as Jarvis is going to go in the Canadians, I said, I'll always play with Jarvis in the Canadians. You don't have to worry about that. I'll always be there. So I think that first year in, 2012 that I went with Newfoundland?
Fredericton, yeah.
Yeah. So, or actually it was the year before that in Owen Sound, right?
When we lost
the final. It was the year before that in Owen Sound. So that was the year that Jarvis didn't put a team in. And I think a couple like Andrew and Alan Phibbs and Greg went to Kitchener and stuff, and I went to play with you guys with Newfoundland. But just unreal. Like everybody, like I've watched all the podcasts and heard Todd Martin and all these guys talk about it. Like it was just everybody knew you guys were going to win 10 in a row when you guys started winning. Like it was just it was going to happen. You had all the best players in Canada on one team. So it was just, you had the best pitcher, you had the best first baseman, you had the best right fielder, you had the best, like, it was just, the list went on and on, right? So it was,
we had
the fourth or fifth best DH.
And we had Sean pitching for us too. Don't forget that. We had Sean pitching for us.
Opie, when we lost that year to Kitchener, did the boys start rubbing it in? Like,
not at all.
The boys,
no,
yeah, fucking.
No, right. They did not at all. It was,
no?
Honestly, they didn't rub it in one bit, honestly. And it was one of those things where once Kitchener got Todd Martin back and Brian Wolf back at the end of the week, like they were underdogs all week because they were missing half their team. But I think they all came in Thursday, Friday. Like we were mowing everybody down. We had a really good team, but when they came in, all those guys, they were just as good as we were. Like I wouldn't get them underdog when they got Todd Martin and Donnie Scott and Ryan Wolf and Dale Levy and the list goes on and on. They had a really good team. So
absolutely.
So it was a good game, and that was one of those games that I'll always. There's not too many games where I think that the team that should have won didn't, and I think that was one of those games. And that's not taking anything.
You hit 4 balls. I think there's 3 or 4 balls you hit that game that were absolute rockets right at people, that were at timely moments that if they had have gone the way they should have gone or could have gone, right?
Yeah.
I think there was 3 hits there that one would have went out and 2 that would have been line drives off the fence or to the gap that they either made a great play on or was right at someone. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, we hit a couple balls that probably almost would have went through a couple guys that game. So it was
and listen,
line drives to right field, line drives to left field, line drive we were hitting the ball. Like we did not play a bad game, but we ended up losing by a couple runs.
We didn't get the breaks, and they were rolling too. I mean, Jesus, I think Red had Dale Levy had probably 10 or 15 RBIs in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I think he had a home run in the finals, right? He had one of the hits.
He did. He had a home run. He had a home run in the finals. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Alan Phibbs hit the game-winning RBI.
He did. Yeah, he had a big chopper up the middle to score a run or two in the 6th or 7th. I forget what it was, but yeah, he had a But it was, like you said, that was just kind of one of those things where it was like, yeah, we kind of took one on the chin that year, but it was, and that's what I mean when nobody really gave me a hard time after, because sitting in the beer tent after with Todd Martin and Andy Jackson and Rob O'Brien and all those guys, and they just said, like, yeah, we got you this year, but you guys are going to win. You guys are going to win for the next 6-7 years. We know that. Like, you just got too good of a team, and that's, and that's what happened, right? So,
yeah, and it's easy for us to say we think we probably should have won, but when you start listing off the names of the guys that are on that team, it's no surprise that they won at all, right? When you got guys that know how to win, and you talk about Red Dale Levy, he's a big game player. And when you think about him, right, and just some of the clutch home runs, and that week in particular, he was on friggin' fire. Right? And when you see him come up to the bat, you're like, oh, fuck, here he comes again. Beat him, walk him, do something. Don't let him swing. And sure enough, out off the sea cans out in, or the whatever it was, the old abandoned train out in center field. It nearly put it through it. But, that was a defining moment, though. It was when we knew we were real close. It was, from a Newfoundland perspective, you're building up to that point. It was real close. We got that close once in 2007, but we knew after that there was good things coming down the pipe. But you played a key role in those kind of first 3 years that we finally did get over the hump, and it was awesome to share that with you. Yeah, no, it was, like I said, with a lot of the guys that I've had the most fun playing with has been, East Coast guys. And so like you said, it was a no-brainer to come and play with your team with, yourself and Cleary and Foley and Hilly, and the list goes on and on. Just a great bunch of guys. So it was a no-brainer, and I had a ton of fun every week that I went out there to play with you guys. So to come back the next year, to get asked to come back the next year was an honor, but to do it was just a lot of fun. So.
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is supported by Miller Lite. Great Pilsner taste with only 90 calories and 3 grams of carbs per serving. After a tough game, it's always Miller time. Please drink responsibly.
Take us through a little bit of your Team Canada career. When did you first get your start with Team Canada?
I was 2005, I think it would have been. But my career was kind of I don't know. I never really got an invite to any camps. The first camp I got an invite to was in Kitchener, and it was kind of, I think it was because a couple of guys from out west, couldn't make the camp. I think Evan Potskin couldn't make it. Maybe Kevin Schellenberg, I'm not sure. There's a few guys that couldn't make the camp. So George Ryder, I think, was kind of playing a part in that camp in Kitchener, and he said, well, I'll reach out to a few guys, and myself and Greg Cornier and Andrew Phibbs. Andrew might have been invited anyways, but us three anyways, we jumped in a car and we bolted down to Kitchener for the camp. And that was my first camp. And I had a pretty good camp. And after that, it was kind of like, well, okay, why don't you come to the next camp? So I went to the next camp in 2006 and I had a good camp in 2006. And then we went to, obviously, to Hermosillo for the PanAm Games, PanAm qualifier, whatever it was. And that was kind of the start of my my national team career. So it was just kind of one of those things where it was just, I got lucky. That's all it was. I got lucky and I got a break and I got a chance and I performed and went from there. So that was a pretty cool trip, because we both went on that trip, and that was our first time going on an international event. I got picked up last minute to go because of injury, or not injury. Tosh couldn't go. Mm-hmm. And we go down there, and we played together in 2006 with it, really. So at least we knew each other from that perspective. I wanted to thank you too for setting the bar so high as a roommate that no one has even come close
to living up to being as good of a roommate as you are. So I just want to take this time right now to thank you for
This
being
is a
the way
bullshit
a
story.
roommate
Just to let
should
the listeners know, this is probably a bullshit story, but
But
Yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Man. Just a solid guy. A lot better than some of my other options. But when we go down there, and we went to Vegas beforehand, that was pretty cool. Fucking 50 degrees out. I'm not sure what that experience was like for you, but it was different for me. I kind of felt like a duck out of water, or not really knowing what to do. Almost feeling like you got to do things differently a little bit to try and fit in. Like you're now living your dream of being on the national team. Did you find that joining that team different than playing regular club ball?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And when I first started, it was it was kind of one of those things where it was like I'd play a little bit of second base, and I'd play a little bit of shortstop, and then I wouldn't play because we had Shelly. He was the shortstop coming up, and we had Tosh, who was the second baseman. So I was kind of one of those guys that, like, all right, I'd get a game at second base here and there, and then I'd get a game at shortstop to give them, But usually when I got in, I would hit, and I kind of got lucky that way. I would hit well. So it was kind of, I think on that end, they were just kind of like, well, we need to kind of find a spot for this guy to go. And, so I wasn't a shortstop. I was like a middle infielder. That's what I was. So I didn't know from day to day if I was playing second, if I was playing short, sometimes I'd play half a game at second, then half a game at short. And, as long as it was one of those things, as long as you keep hitting, they'll find a place for you to play. Right. And that's kind of the way it is. And eventually, I kind of got the shortstop role and grew into that. But yeah, for the longest time, it was tough because I didn't know what I was doing, what my role was on the team. But yeah, it worked out.
Fuck, did it ever? But that worked out for you, worked out for the national team for sure. When we were down to that event, I wasn't even focused on the competition, right? Because you're just trying to fit in, right? But not draw too much attention to yourself. I remember having a catch with Ryan Wolf, and I was so nervous. I didn't want to throw the ball, make him reach over his head. I'm just laser focused on trying to hit Wolfie in the chest, my idol. Yeah. And sure enough, second throw, I'd yard sail it 10 feet over his head. He'd run over to right field and take it out of the Mexican team's hands and come back over. I'm like, oh, Jesus, this guy thinks I'm an idiot. Yeah. And then try not, get in there and perform. You remember the game against the States, the first playoff game, and the helmets that we had?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You remember those helmets that we had? They had the Velcro in it. And sure, and I'm getting up, and I don't know anyone on the team. And Mark Smith, I'm frightened to death of Mark Smith. And I hit the ball, and I get thrown out at first base. And I think I'm safe. Guaranteed I think I'm safe. I start losing. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm safe. I slam my helmet down. And then anyway, they call out on the third out, and we're on the third base dugout, and this is our first base. And anyway, I turn around, and the States team is coming out onto the field, and anyway, or no, our team is going out on the field. The States are coming in, and then I look, and my helmet's out in right field. The air flap is over by second base. The other air flap is by the first base dugout. I got to go pick all this stuff up, and then I walk back across the diamond, and here's Smitty still standing in the third base coach's box. The States coach is standing there. He said, "Hang on a minute." I walked by. He said, "Get the fuck up in the stands." Yes, sir. 'Cause I got ejected, right? And talk about just a whirlwind experience, first time on the national team. But anyway, that story stands out to me about that trip.
Yeah, I remember that.
You talk about getting the chance to hit with Team Canada when you hit well. We all come across players we see in our club teams and various club teams who, once they put on the Team Canada jersey, they, sometimes it's a bit of added pressure, and they're not looking like they did with their club teams. We know they're big boppers, but for whatever reason, that little bit of added pressure is it doesn't bring out the best in them. But for yourself, obviously, it seems like it'd been quite the opposite. And one thing that stands out to me was your performance in 2009, ISFs in Saskatoon. been seeing it as big as beach balls that week. I mean, I was at home following along, but every line score I read, Ian Fehrman, 2 hits, 3 hits, home run here, home run there. Take us through it. Chat a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was like you said, kind of in the zone that week. It was one of those things where it was. I think we were maybe midway through the week, and I was seeing the ball so well. I was making bets with guys. I think we were playing South Africa one game, and I think I made a bet with Todd Martin whether I'd hit a home run my next at bat or not. Because I was just feeling that, like, every time I went up there, I was like, I should hit a home run this, and I did, and I went out and I bet Todd Martin and I hit a home run. It was just one of those things, and it wasn't like one game or 2 games. It was like all week, like Folkart, Kirkpatrick, the Japanese pitchers, like it was just all week. Manly, like it just seemed like the game slowed down. Like everybody's kind of been in that before, right? It's, whether it be a day or 2 days, and it was just one of those things where it was just all week, everything just slowed down, and it was an awesome week. Obviously, it didn't turn out the way we wanted at the end, but personally, it was a really good week.
Such a nice feeling, like, to be in that zone. Like, like you said, we've all been there at some time. But then on the other end of the spectrum, it's nothing fucking worse. You can't even hit.
Yeah, we've all been there too, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe I need to close my stance and choke up and do that little thing you do.
I think what you're doing is working for you, Hilly.
I got a couple years left. We'll try that out. I don't know. Tougher and tougher, man.
I can't see you choking up the way he does, Hilly. Not with all the chirping that you've done over the years about people choking up on the bat. But Opie, one thing I'm interested to know, you talk about when you broke into Team Canada and not really being invited to the camp, but you've been around the game your entire life. Who did you look up to in the game? Who did you kind of mold yourself after? For us, it's been Colin Abbott, and then you learn about other guys. Who did you look up to in the game?
Yeah, back home it was Adam Smith, right? It was Adam Smith was from Hagersville. Adam Smith played with the Toronto Gators. He won the ISCs. He won the Canadians. He was like, you never seen him. Like, he'd come back home and there'd be a game, and it would be a charity game where he'd play against, like, the Canadian champions and the midget team or whatever, and the other team would have Adam Smith on the team. Oh, and yeah. There was a arena back behind the ballpark in Hagersville, and it's probably 200 feet behind the arena. And Adam Smith would come and he'd hit some bombs off the bottom of the arena, and it was just unreal. But it wasn't just that. Like, he was so fast, and he was like he reminded me of Brandon Horn. He'd stop a ball with his face at second base to get somebody out. Just didn't care. He'd do whatever it took to win the game. Like, it didn't matter what he had to do. And there wasn't a game where he didn't come off and he was filthy. And I didn't get a chance to play with Adam until pretty much the end of his career. Like, he was done with the Gators and all the other teams that he had played with. And he came back and he was mentoring us, a junior team that had won a couple of junior championships and just started senior. And so he kind of came on and was kind of mentoring a lot of us. And just to watch him play, and I got to room with him in Eau Claire, my first ISCs ever. I got to room with Adam. And you want to talk about a good roomie. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He'd be up at 7 a.m. He'd have coffee. He'd have breakfast ready for you. But then at 10 o'clock at night, he'd be out having a beer with you. And he was the best. He was the best roomie. Yeah. So that's why I'm such a good roomie, because I learned early, right? So
friggin' right, buddy. When I hear you describing that, I say, well, that's what you do, and it's exactly what I wish Hilly would do.
Taught me well.
Yeah, when you talk about those guys, right, that you look up to, and when it comes to playing up the middle, right, and so Adam Smith and Chris Jones were a legendary up the middle duo, and I've always been interested to know what the dynamic of that relationship is. And I associate you with Brandon Horn, who you just mentioned, from playing with Jarvis and then playing with the national team. Our national team benefited from you guys being up the middle partners on your club team as well. But how important is that for a shortstop, that relationship with your second baseman? Can you just walk through a little bit of what that looks like?
Yeah, no, it's very important. It's like I said, I've only known that pretty much with Horny. Like I as soon as I started playing senior, me and Horny played together, and then it was only in 2009 where it was kind of a little bit different. But after that, Horny came on to the national team shortly after that. So it's one of those things where we have a different, like I said, Horny and Smitty are kind of the same way. You know, they'd stop a ball with their face and catch it with their teeth and spin it to you at second base or whatever. But that's the way me and Jonesy are a little bit different. Jonesy's a little bit smoother than I am, but they get to, you get to where you had to be, and you knew what the other guy was thinking sort of a little bit, right? And after you play with these guys for so long, and I knew what Horny was thinking, and I knew what Horny was capable of doing. He knew what I was capable of doing, and we kind of fed off each other, right? So it was a great relationship with Horny, and I was so happy to be able to play with him for as long as I did and win championships with him, and just such a great guy. And to be able to do it at the ISC level, be able to do it at the Canadian level, it was just unreal.
Yeah, you guys work so well together. It's one of those relationships, kind of like Jonesy and Adam Smith, right? You're the next generation of that, and really set a great example for the guys like Shane Boland and Tyler Pallai, who are coming up and could very well be the next generation of what you and Horny brought to the table. So it's great to see that kind of effect from generation to generation, especially when it comes to the national team. But what are some of these stupid things that you guys do on defense? And I don't mean just you guys, but shortstops and second basemen in general. And I may have this completely fucking wrong. I don't know. But when you're saying who's going to cover the base if someone's stealing, and then the thing that stands out to me, someone says, if my mouth is open, I'll take it. Or if my mouth is closed, you take it. What are some of these cues that because it got me fucking confused?
Yeah, well, that would confuse me too, because me and Horny weren't that smart. So some guys try.
Why are you looking at the guy's mouth?
Some guys try to overcomplicate things. I'd usually just look at Horny and say, "You got it." And that was it.
No,
Horny would take it 90% of the time. So unless there was somebody that was going to bunt, we knew was going to bunt, or was like a big pull hitter on the left side, then 99% of the time Horny would take it, because I like to play a little bit deeper and sometimes play more towards third base sometimes too. So I'm slow and a little bit chubby, so I'd have a hard time getting to second base, whereas Horny would be there in no time. So it was pretty much unwritten that Horny would take it unless otherwise spoken. There was no bird signals or open and closed mouths or anything. It was just before the next guy would come up, I'd say, Horny, he just look at me. Yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah. So.
And how important is having a really, really good first baseman in all this? Like, how important is that for you? So important.
There's nothing worse than going into the hole, making a good play, throwing it to first base, and maybe a one bouncer, maybe a little bit to the one side, and just not getting bailed out. Like, for God's sakes, man, just bail me out. Make a fucking play. And that was the one thing I liked about you. You made the play. 99% of the time, you made the play. So,
well, it's. I was afraid not to. You're as nice a guy you are. You tell me. So it wasn't even so much for the team. It was out of out of fear. You make the play at that point.
One thing is the DH boys, you'll never fuck up in the field.
No, I've been lucky. I've played with a lot of good first basemen. We had Brad Rona at first base for a long time. I had you at first base, Pat Graham, like so many really good first basemen. I've never really there's not too many that come to mind that were not very good first basemen. So I never really had that problem. If I threw it to first and they didn't catch it, it was usually my fault. I fucked up. So.
Yeah. Well,
and I take responsibility for all that, of course. I never blame anybody else for nothing. So.
Oh, of course not. Let's talk about some of the pitchers you've got a chance to play behind. When like on every, whether it's Canadians, ISC, or internationally. That's, you get a pretty cool seat to watch some of the best in the game do their thing, eh?
Yeah, no, it's fun. You get a lot of accolades for winning, so many, 4 or 5 ISCAs, and you win so many Canadians, and you win this. But like a lot of the time, as well as I do, you sit back there and don't do nothing. When you got Adam Falkar in the mound, he's just mowing guys, and you got Todd Martin, and you got Sean Cleary and Paul Court. You might have to make 1 or 2 plays a game. That's it. Just make a play. It's a ground ball once in a while. Just make a play. Other than that, just sit back and watch a show. Like you said, like unreal watching some of these guys pitch, and then on top of that, like the catchers, like Sean O'Brien's and Pat Shannon's, and watching them call the games, like that was fun for me too. I'd sit at shortstop and I'd watch the game they're calling and how they're calling, and just unreal. It was just unreal how good some of these players were that I got to play with. I know I'm lucky.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, I remember that game against the Dutch down in New Zealand there, and I'm looking over my shoulder in the circle. You look pretty comfy over there.
Oh, Jesus. Fucking go again, man. You're not a fucking pitcher.
Couldn't wait for that one, eh?
Oh, my God. It's exhausting.
Took an hour for that one, but he was waiting for it.
Oh, just teed up. You just wonder now. Like we've done a few of these. It's, when's it going to drop? When's it going to be the Hilly drop? The Hilly pitching drop. Yeah. But after the 2015 season, which that was unreal. We got the chance to win the WBSC at home and then the PanAm Games, and it was pretty cool to see what they did for you in your hometown.
Yeah.
It
was.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. No, my parents have been involved with the Lions Club for their life here in Townsend, and they've done a lot for the community and stuff. And one of the ball diamonds here in town, ball diamond I grew up playing with or whatever, they decided that they were going to rename that ball diamond in my honor. And yeah, it was super special, really cool. So we had a day where we got to, bring out all my old friends and family, and everybody came out, and we had the big unveiling, and it was a super special day for sure.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, well, it's well deserved. No one deserves it better, man. And it's a great tribute. It's a beautiful sign that they put up by the field too. We pulled it up here, and the Lucas is just bringing it up there. I think you can see it on the screen. It's great for small town anyway. But you know how it's a softball area that you grew up in, right? Similar to us in Newfoundland, and it's. You're a role model, not only for your own kids, but from the kids that are growing up there, and no one deserves it more, man. And we're thrilled to see you get that honor, and I'm really proud to look at that sign when we're out there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it's funny when we were out to Jason and Marsha's wedding there a few years back, and we got a chance to go to Freshwater. Yeah, and we had dinner with your parents and your grandparents, and just an awesome experience. But like we were just, you took us for a little tour around Freshwater out there, and we were talking, and our childhoods are pretty much the same, right? It was just small town, ball diamond, and hockey in the summer, and hockey in the winter, ball in the summer, and home run derbies, and playing pickle with your buddies, and it was the same thing, right? It's the same childhood, and it was awesome. It was just it was really good.
Yeah, very lucky.
You should have stopped by the old pitch and putt there on Torbay Road when the club. I see a picture of Hilly in there in the old hole.
Oh yes, bye. You're a golfer now, are you? Oh Jesus,
he's back again.
Oh, he's back.
Well, you guys are talking about fields getting named after you, and presidents coming to meet you and call you. And
that's all right, Hilly. They got a beer cooler down in Marie's Mini Mart named after you.
No, what a trip that was out east though. Like me and the wife talked about going back all the time. It was so fun, and Johnny and Brian, everybody, like, just such good people out there, like unreal. Like I said, having dinner with your parents, Steve, and your grandparents, and your sisters were there. Just great people out there. So, if there was ever a chance, and me and Christy have talked about this a bunch of times, once things get all done and over with here with this COVID thing or whatever, we'd love to get back out east and have a good trip.
We should make a plan for something.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I know my mom's been trying for years to get out there too. So, it'd be a good family trip to head out there.
Yeah. And well, with you going there where softball is so popular within Newfoundland, and especially if you're playing on the national team and you've represented Newfoundland, it was almost a bit of a celebrity coming. Like for us, for my parents, there was a celebrity coming to dinner. Mom and Dad know you really well, but just even in St. John's, when we have some of the guys around down in John Hill's bar or wherever down the Three Cheers pub, if we're there and we say, "Oh, Ian Fehrman's here," is that Ian Fehrman over there? It's there's a bit of a celebrity aspect for our friends and family when you got to come down. So it was just as much of a thrill for the people in Newfoundland having you there than it probably was for you going. But we got to get together again soon. The three of us, man.
Great bunch of people down there for sure.
Hey guys, Hilly here. Just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone for the support we have received so far. If you have any comments, feedback, or a guest request, drop us a line at dustuppodcast@gmail.com.
Do you remember, I just want to go back a little bit, when we had that tournament out in Jarvis, when me and Hilly and Bradley went back and played for Frankenmuth?
Yeah.
And we went up and it was the Jarvis tournament. And we were all there playing. We had Cordy pitching for us. And anyway, we end up making championship Sunday, like the semifinals. But that Saturday night, you say, "Hey guys, there's this country dance or something going on at the Hagersville Arena. You guys should come." Oh, perfect. I think we're 20. I don't know how old we are, 23 maybe.
You would have been early 20s, yeah.
And we go out, and they go in, and it's an arena with no ice on it, and you just show a ticket, and it's go pour your own drinks, right? And then it's a dance. Hilly, do you remember going to that?
Quite well.
Yeah, what it was, there was me.
What did I tell you before you went?
Well, behave.
Whatever you do, don't fight. That's all I said. Just don't get into a fight. I said, all my friends are going to be there. Just have a great time. Just don't get into a fight. No big deal.
Yeah. Well, sorry. we went in there with good intentions anyway. But there's me and Hilly and Bradley and Blair Ezekiel. We were in there. And then anyway, the night was winding down. And we come out, me and Hilly, and Bradley's meeting us, and Bradley's real young at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know if he's 20. He's probably 19.
No,
and
Bradley was in diapers, I think.
he said, "Yeah, Lolly, they're saying don't tell people around here from your Newfoundland or something like that." Anyway, there was some chirping going on, and next thing you know, like fucking flash mob. There's everybody. There's just bodies flying everywhere, and then. Next thing you know, everyone's kind of squared off into this into a big old racket. Next thing you know, I'm not sure how many. There's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 little dust ups. There you go. Podcast name drop again. We had to get at the end of it. We had a van come pull and pick us up with the door sliding open. We're running, diving in the van, peeling out of the parking lot. But anyway, we show up at the ball field the next day, and we wake up, and every one of us, our hands are swollen up. We got freaking black eyes, and we got to roll in to play a 9 a.m. semifinal game where somehow we managed to win that game and then go. I think we won the final. We beat you guys in the final. Yeah. But I remember we played you in the final. I think you guys got the bye right to the final. We're out warm. You guys are warming up for the championship game. We're out stretching the center field again, and here comes Opie by marching out to the circle. Don't give a shit who's in. He said, "What the fuck did I tell you? I told you nothing."
It was almost like it's like we had our heads down and we seen Opie coming. It was almost like we knew we did bad and we seen Dad for the scolding, right? We were like, "Oh boy, here it comes." Not good. We feel shame.
Yeah, I think we got out of there pretty lucky because you mentioned you had one of your buddies who was a fighter in the NHL or something, and he had just left 10 minutes or so before all this stuff happened, or he wasn't there. He left that day to go back to training camp or something. You said you don't know how freaking lucky you guys were.
You might have had a default there on Sunday.
Yeah.
No, I remember that story because you guys came back I think you guys came back to my house after that game, and we had a few beers before you guys took off on the plane or whatever. And I remember Bradley, because Bradley was he was probably 18 at that time, and I don't think he said one word the whole time. And then after the story. The story came out after, and it was like, well, Bradley kind of started it. I said, Bradley who? Bradley Eskel. I said, Bradley Eskel started that fight? I haven't heard him say a word. Poor little guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was just one of those, every time we go out that way, I was like, oh, but is there any chance our pictures are up at the Hagersville Arena or what? Yeah. No, it's...
I remember that. That was funny. That was a long time ago, but I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of Bradley, unreal, isn't he? Right? My God.
He's the best. He really is. With a lot of, and he had a lot of hype. He had a lot. Hype's not the right word because hype seems like it's overinflated. He had a lot of eyes on him, a lot of potential that he was expected to live up to. And holy shit, did he ever. Yeah, no, it's funny because it was one of those things where it was like, Blair, I played with Blair coming up and you played with Blair coming up. Yeah.
Blair was awesome.
Unreal.
Blair was one of the best hitter, if not the best hitter in the world for a couple of years. Like Blair was unreal.
He's still unreal.
And then all we hear about is, well, his younger brother's better than him. Come on. No, he's not. And then, Bradley came on and, he started really young. He started. And, you could see that he was good, but it was kind of like one of those for the first couple of years, like, I don't know if he's going to be better than Blair. And then all of a sudden, I don't think he's got out since 2012. So he's doing pretty good.
Not against me, anyway. I remember, I'll tell you a quick story about Brad. I remember the first time I ever faced him. And I think we were still traveling back and forth. Or I think I might have been living in Frankenmuth at the time. So I wasn't familiar with all the young guys coming up. And I came home towards the season end after the ISCs, and I think we might have been in playoffs, and it was the junior league. And, of course, Bradley was still midget or whatever he was, first-year midget. And all the talk was this guy, Bradley Eskel, and he's up in junior ripping it up, and he's even playing senior at this point. And I was like, fuck this little guy now. We're playing him on whatever night it was in the playoffs, and I was like, fuck yeah, now I'm going to throw, I'm talking about blowing the volley by at like 66 miles an hour. But anyway, I said, I'm going to fucking mow this guy down now and teach him, put him back in his place. So he gets in. I think he was lead up. He gets in by, and he might have been, I don't know what the count was. Might have been 1-1, 1-2, fucking boom. Off the mitt. Fucking 290 feet. And I was like, well, holy fuck.
Was he using that stupid stance too, or he had his bat like 8 feet over his head?
Oh yeah, There's something you would never teach the kids.
Balls like that.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, it works for him.
Oh my God, does it ever? Yeah, he's one of those guys. Like, when I was in like Malali, you know what it was like in 2015 when you're in the groove and the ball was coming in huge, and in 2009 when you talked about it earlier, that must be him every single game. Like every game,
it's not
must
fair.
be him.
It's not.
I know
fair.
It's not fair.
You don't see Zeke, and I know it happens at some point, but you don't, very, very rarely you'll see Zeke in a slump.
Yeah. No, I don't see it. Well,
doesn't happen.
I've never seen it with a national team, and I've never seen it when we played against them. I've never played a full season, ISC season with them, but like never. When I play shortstop, and I'm worried for myself and for the left fielder because he hits a ball so hard. It's not right.
It's a good thing you don't play second base.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. Opie, just having you on, unreal. Just getting to catch up. Can't thank you enough for coming on. Before we let you go, though, and wrap it up.
That was good to catch up with you guys again.
Yeah. It's just one of our favorite players in the game, just favorite buddies. We knew when we were getting you on here it was going to be special. But before we let you go, I do need to bring up so in the PanAm Games, right? So as great of a player you are on the field and all that, you led us, to 2 of these major championships. But some of an off the field story at the PanAm Games that, I'll never friggin' forget it, is when you went down to get your haircut in the Athletes Village, and you went down looking half normal. But what happened there, man? Because when you came back, holy shit, what happened with that haircut?
Mason told that story too.
Yes, I heard it on Outside the Shoe.
Yeah. So I was the first one. Me and Mason went down actually to go get a haircut, and it was this professional barber or whatever. He's in there, and so we wheel in. And I said, "Yeah, just give me a number 2 on the sides or whatever, and finger length on the top, just straight haircut. Clean me up a little, bud." So I roll in there, and he puts a cape on or whatever. The first time that he goes across, all I hear is the buzzers go. I thought, oh, fuck. And as soon as I look over, and Mason's got his phone out right away. He's just scrambling. And he's got his phone out, and he's just dying laughing. He's got his phone up. And he's and the barber's like looking at his buzzers, and he's hitting them. And it's no problem. I'll fix it. And next one he takes. So I got half of my head of hair is gone. I'm right down to the wood. And Mason is snapping pictures like you wouldn't believe. Like he was a paparazzi over in the corner.
Oh, man.
And he was dying. I bet he sent it to everybody on the team before he got the 3rd strip in.
Oh, and
yeah, it was bad. He said, "Don't worry, I'll blend it in." You could not tell that I had a strand of hair on my head when he got done. I was bald.
And you're about 2 or 3 years before Peaky Blinders came out, because you had the haircut like the boys on Peaky Blinders, where they got a little bit on top and then the complete rest side of their heads are shaved. But geez,
I
when
should
you
have just
showed
went
up,
with a mohawk at that point. Yeah,
it
was
was funny. I got that picture saved in my phone, and
yeah. Clary brings it up every time I see him, so he reminds me all the time.
100%, man.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Hilly?
Nope.
That's why you're a pro, Hilly. That's why you're a pro, bud. No, Opie, this was awesome having you on, buddy. Thanks for taking the time and coming on and sharing a little bit about what you've done in the game and your approach, and just salt of the earth guy. I think our listeners will really get an appreciation of why you're so loved and respected by your teammates and the softball community at large. So can't thank you enough for coming on, buddy.
I appreciate having me on, and it was great seeing you guys again. So even if no podcast or not, we gotta do this again. Let's get together and get on and have a chat and have a few drinks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, buddy. Great to catch up, man. Looking forward to it.
All right. You guys take care.
Yeah.
Best to you guys and your family, eh?
Yeah.
Cheers, Opie. Same to you.
So we just want to thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. We got Lucas and Nick there. A little bit of rum ragged to take us out.
Get out of here! I told you, Mr. Drama. I used to be a ladies' man, but I'm unhappy now. For courting 6 girls, all at once they used me. Say bye-bye, baseball! My mother said it was naughty, I should kiss her back. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very nice.
And the Lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.